Hello, Jachym here, and
I'm Natasha.
Alright, so today what we want to talk about is what to do if you keep having negative thoughts and they're reoccurring you and bothering you. And they can be in the shape of thinking about bad future, something that's going to happen to you, or thinking about hurting other people that are close to you, or some other ways that those kind of thoughts occur or reoccur. But the general kind of gist is that they're negative, they're bothersome to you, and you don't know what to do with them.
Alright, so if that's something that comes up from time to time in your life, well then we have something to share that could help you to deal with that.
Absolutely. So let's look at this a bit more closely. And in general, with all of those things, it doesn't really matter what the content is, but with all of those kind of thoughts that come up, there's something really important to realize, and that is it's normal. Okay, there's nothing wrong with you, you're not broken. We all have all kinds of thoughts all the time during the day. I mean, just when you look at some statistics or whatever, they say you have 60,000 thoughts a day. I don't know how to calculate it, but in general, you have a lot of thoughts each day, right? And so that there's a thought that is negative is very normal and not usual. So that's number one, because a lot of people think there's something wrong with them, there's something broken with them, there's something that has happened in their past to them and that is bad, and that's why they keep having this, and it's kind of like you start struggling with it. So point number one is, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with you. Do you want to take the next point? No? I'll take the next point. Point number two is that what is it that is so problematic about those thoughts? Because just think about it, you have all kinds of thoughts. Natasha has all kinds of thoughts, I have all kinds of thoughts. Why are certain thoughts more difficult for you, more bothersome to you than other thoughts? And well, it comes down to that you believe that certain thoughts are more valid than other thoughts. They're more truthful, they mean more, right? And because they mean more, suddenly they are bad and you can't have them, because there's something more to them than all the other garbage that's coming through your brain, right? So we kind of try to resist them because they are bad, right? We don't see them. So here's the thing. We don't see them as thoughts. Now you're like, well, I do see them. No, you don't see them as thoughts. At some level, you believe them to be more than just thoughts. This is actually the core piece to this whole thing here, is to learn to see on a deeper level that what is passing through your consciousness is thought, is nothing more, because you can have all kinds of thoughts that just keep you cold. There's nothing more to it, you know? Like for example, me and Natasha can have the thought of robbing a bank, right?
We don't usually, no, not really.
We don't usually, but so let's say we have the thought of wanting to rob a bank. Well, why are we not taking action on it? Why are we not like cringing from it, being like, oh my god, I have this really bad thought? Well, because you see how illusory it is, right? That's why we don't act on it. That's why we just disregard it. There's nothing more to it. And so the negative thoughts that you're having, they are the same. They are as valid as thinking of a blue elephant. That's it. If you start to see, not up here, if you just think, yeah, I kind of get it, but on a body level, see, oh my god, those thoughts, they are meaningless, nothing more to them. You walk free of them. They may occur again, but they leave you cold. There's nothing more to them. They don't stick anymore, you know? The issue that you're experiencing right is that they're sticky. And they're sticky because you don't see them as thought, right? So for example, I used to have some thoughts about hurting people that are close to me, right? Being nasty to them in some psychological way, or saying bad things or something like that. And every time I come out, I really cringe and feel bad inside about it. Well, now if those kind of things come up, first of all, it comes up very rarely. And if it does come up, it comes up and it goes again, because there's no stickiness more to it.
Mm-hmm. And if this is new to you, the first two steps or tips that Jachym gave you is probably because what we are suggesting or advising you to give a try isn't to deal with the content of the negative thinking, if that makes sense. I'm going to elaborate a little bit in case this is a bit confusing still. So a lot of times if you look at Google videos of how to deal with negative thinking and all that, you'll get stuff like positive affirmations, or trying to deal with those thoughts emotionally, or focusing on something else, like oh, just distract yourself and think of something else. So all of those things are really active, first of all, so you're actually putting more energy into it than the examples that Jachym and I are suggesting. So in other examples, people might tell you to think positively. Why that's not helpful in our work and our experience is that, first of all, you're digging further into the negative thinking. You're adding like a new plaster onto it, like adding stuff on top of it. And that doesn't change the fact that there's negative thinking happening. You're just putting like a positive spin on it. You're engaging with it, which actually could make it even bigger. Like it just starts to perpetuate. And then another thing you can do is to analyze it emotionally and to deal with all the negative thinking. Well, first of all, like Jachym said, there's so much thinking happening every single day in all these moments that it's impossible for you to go through them all. And it doesn't make sense to go through them all, because if you do engage with it all, like Jachym said, you are taking it as reality, as truth, right? So if you take what Jachym suggested, then you actually begin to recognize that it's just a thought, that you have the choice to take a look at it, to really like look at it and deal with it and engage with it, or not, right? And then the third thing of distracting yourself is also to kind of avoid or to hide from this process where positive or negative thoughts happen within us, like probably for the rest of our lives. Random thoughts will come, and some will be positive, some will be negative. But every time a negative thought comes and we start running the other way and start distracting ourselves and bringing our attention to our breath and to some other thing that we're doing at the moment, then we're running away from something that is actually harmless. Because positive or negative thoughts, they aren't harming us. It's just something that's passing through the screen, like in a movie. Like the positive or negative scene that's happening before your eyes doesn't actually harm you. So there's no need to run the other way and try to distract yourself. So I wanted to break that down because we can buy into these examples or these exercises to try to deal with our negative thinking, but at the end of the day, if you don't realize that they're just thoughts and that they're harmless, and that ultimately we have a choice to see them as they are and not to engage with it, then you'll always want and will need a very active approach to try to get it out of your life.
Absolutely. And so the really important we said about positive affirmation is, you're laying other things on top of it. And what you're doing is you're buying into the reality of it being bad and something that shouldn't be here, and then layering positiveness on top of it. And that doesn't really work. And so the quickest way to actually see thought for thought is to face it. Is to, if it's something that just keeps coming up and you're like, oh, I'm letting it pass, I'm just noticing it. But actually underneath is all this resistance. You're not seeing it as thought, you're just hoping, please fucking go away. You're not really seeing. So letting it, so the important thing is just look at it. What is it that you're so afraid of, or that's so bad about this? And sometimes it can be a bit hidden. So for example, a situation occurs, and whenever this situation occurs, kind of negative thinking comes up. It may be a defense mechanism that's kind of happening, right? But you need to see what's at the core of it. What is it that you're so afraid of? So that's kind of a more nuanced layer to this whole thing. It still comes down to the whole thing being thought created, and that there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. It's imaginary, and seeing the imaginary nature of it literally releases the grasp this may seem to have over it.
So I hope that this video was really helpful. If this is new to you and you have questions and you're not really sure how to kind of apply this, practically speaking, into your life, then make sure to comment below, let us know, and we'll be happy to help you out. So in our next sit-down session a week from now, next Saturday, we're actually going to dive deeper because this video is about the negative thoughts that are passing by. But inevitably, if you are just wrestling with all these negative thinking, can't seem to detach from them, they're way more than thoughts to you. And it seems like there seems to be not only negative thinking in your life, but also constant conflict, like fires you're trying to put out all the time, and it's kind of consuming your life, as in you're always putting in effort and taking action and putting in time to try to shut out all these conflicts or shut off all these problems that are popping up in your life. Just like the thoughts that are coming up, but you're trying to actively deal with them. We'll actually bring up that topic a week from now and talk about why sometimes it feels like we're in constant conflict and it seems like there's constantly new problems coming up in your life, and how to actually find peace, not just with the negative thinking that's happening in your head, but also when you're practically speaking, dealing with all these problems that seem to pop up in your life. So stay tuned and make sure to subscribe so you can check that video out.
Absolutely. And one question for you that you can take with, that you can reflect on, is what makes a thought negative or positive? You can comment below. We're happy to hear what you think about it.
All right, see you next week.
See ya.